Tuesday the 1st of October 1957, 64 years ago, almost to the day, two Oblate priests arrived here in a beaten up second-hand Vauxhall to the Hill at Lyndham, a property that had been gifted to the Oblates by Archbishop Dewey. Father Long and Father McCarthy started with little, but a dream to build a Catholic community for our local working class families. They set about transforming a 32-acre farm into a centre of education and faith. Hundreds of families turned up to the blessing and the turning of the first sod. This took place on the same day I was baptised, just down the road at Garden Angels. I wasn't to know it yet, but Iona and I, well, we were destined to share in a lifetime of growth. Legendary stories of bottle dries, fates, cake stalls, chook raffles and working bees, well, they're all true and part of the Iona story. Father McCarthy would drive an old truck around Wynnum. He'd collect an army of volunteers each Saturday, all who worked alongside the Oblates to ready the school for our first students. Working families, working together alongside the Oblates. Our culture was born during these times, a culture that I fell in love with. Soon enough it was my turn, and in 1967 I put on the Iona grey shirt and walked up the hill for the very first time. There was Long Block, the Science Block, the Priest's House, the old farmhouse, and, well, not much else. But there was, and there still is, space to grow. In my senior year, I remember the opening of the Iona pool. We didn't have much, but we had an Olympic pool, the first ever built in a Queensland school. The chapel was built in that same year. Our families dedicated hundreds of hours of volunteer work to build, with their own hands, what is the spiritual heart of our college. As I walked down the drive for the final time as a student, the construction of our state-of-the-art library was underway. Iona was growing up, fast. 10 years later, and Father Sherman offered me a chance to come back to Iona as a college bursar. I have always admired the courage of our Oblate rectors, unafraid of risk in the pursuit of progress. And managing 8 building projects in my first 4 years as a staff member was my introduction. We left nothing undared. We bought and developed land at every opportunity. We built facilities when there was a need. And every step of the way, our families backed us, trusted us, believed in us. Before too long, Father Moroney had commissioned the lecture theatre, another building that was ahead of its time and unmatched in any other educational setting. In the 1990s, I worked on the construction of IPAC with Father Devine, our first major investment into the arts. Standing in the theatre today, you could be mistaken for thinking that it's a brand new building. The day that Iona purchased Lyndham State School was another historic day in the life of the college and a momentous occasion. The history of Lyndham State School lives with us now. Telling their story is our obligation. And now, the Provence Centre, a majestic gathering space that has been 5 years in the making, a direct result of working families working together for 64 years. Generations of families have contributed towards this building, a building that will serve Ionians for years to come. Our story lives within this place, thousands of families just like mine who trusted in the vision of Father Long, even when all that could be offered was a dream and a farmhouse. I wish Father Long was here to see what together we have achieved. Working families, working together, made this possible. After an involvement with Iona spanning across 7 decades, what do I hope to leave behind? Well, that's simple. I hope that I've played a role in building a community that stays true to its mission, values where we came from, and never forgets its origins. Today, I hang up my boots and celebrate a fulfilling career, but Iona is a community for life and will always be a part of my story.